In advance of exams, study rooms can be reserved for students who wish to study in peace. Students no longer have to leave Joyner Library to grab a coffee with the Starbucks right inside. On game days, this lot transforms into a crazy scene of students and Pirate fans alike. Tonight in Daddy Ficklin Stadium, the ECU Pirates will be wrapping up their inaugural season in the American Athletic Conference. The ECU Pirates finished their season at 8-4 and are going bowling to the Birmingham Bowl, where they will play the University of Florida. With only 307 parking spots on campus, students only get a 2-hour maximum time before they come back and fill up the meter. That's right, parking and transportation employees aren't just popping out of the bushes, because it's kind of hard to miss them when they're driving around in these.
Hire our pirates.
Many students depend on the work-study aid as part of their financial aid package. Julie Portman is in charge of deciding which students get that aid and disperses it accordingly.
We determine, based on how much money we have to give, who we will award it to.
Out of the thousands of students that attend ECU, only a relatively small number actually receive the work-study aid.
Right around 500 to 600 students get federal work-study each year, keeping in mind that that's about 1/5 of the students who are employed on campus and in the community.
These students are able to secure jobs through the Student Employment Office with help from Kelly Sykes-Baker, who sets up employment opportunities throughout the community.
My role here is to help manage the federal work-study program, and I also go out into the community and solicit businesses to hire our pirates.
The work-study program doesn't just benefit the students, but it also benefits the employers by allowing them to hire more students.
If I'll pay your wages out of federal work-study, then the library can hire 2 students and have 2 people doing the work and only have to pay for 1.
While students may have the work-study aid, it is ultimately up to the employers to decide whom they prefer to hire.
We do not select any student for any particular job other than the federal work-study students that we hire here.
Jobs aren't limited to just on campus, but also out in the community, where the work-study program must spend part of their budget.
We have a federal obligation to spend 10% of the money out in the community.
Of the many places for students with work-study to be employed around the community, most of them choose to stay with jobs on campus.
The registrar's office and admissions, those departments do the majority of hiring of the federal work-study students.
Zach Vosberg, Pirate News Network. With over 21,000 students, plus faculty and staff, throw in only 12,625 parking spots, and you can see why finding parking might be a little difficult around campus. Not every student drives, but for those who do and don't have a parking permit, they play a game of chicken with the Department of Parking and Transportation.
Sometimes it's just like you just want to risk it. Sometimes it's just like you have to risk it to make it to class on time, especially whenever your absences are just piling up.
Ashley Cox, the Assistant Director of Administration for Parking and Transportation, says student cars with no parking permits aren't safe regardless of the time.
And they always seem to think that if our office is closed after 5 that they're not going to get a ticket. That's not the case.
With only 307 parking spots on campus, students only get a 2-hour maximum time before they come back and fill up the meter. The most frequented lot by students also happens to be the most ticketed lot, which is behind Mendenhall and Joyner Library. This leads to some students scratching their heads about the parking situation.
Honestly, I think it's pretty crammed. We definitely need way more parking for the students, undergraduate and graduate.
You know, everybody thinks that we're hiding in the bushes, right? Out to get them, and that's not the case.
That's right. Parking and transportation employees aren't just popping out of the bushes, because it's kind of hard to miss them when they're driving around in these. Some students think it's unfair that they pay hundreds of dollars for a parking pass when they're already paying tuition and other fees.
I think that, yeah, I do think parking should be free since I'm paying tuition, and especially since I have a parking pass for where I live.
The Department of Parking and Transportation isn't funded by the school and must meet ends meet on their own.
The Board of Governors requires us to be self-supporting, and so we have to self-support ourselves through, the main thing is not tickets. Like I said, we don't get to keep 20% of that revenue, sometimes only 10.
Without someone to enforce parking rules, those who paid for parking permits would be fighting for spots with those without them.
We mainly write those tickets because if we didn't, it would be complete chaos on campus if we didn't. And it's a learning tool.
Zach Vosberg, Pirate News Network.